Hello there, it's Alana Tuckey, the lead faculty for Math 131, and I'm going to show you a little bit more advanced techniques for a calculator. Namely, we've learned in Chapter 2 how to create a scattergram for a single data table and find the linear regression equation for that single data table. But in this chapter, I'm going to kick it up a notch. I'm going to make the calculator actually do 2 regression equations and 2 scatter plots at the same time. I've got mad skills, I tell you. Okay, so the first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to enter this data table into the calculator. So let me pull up a calculator, clear all that stuff off. And I got to drag this over, otherwise won't be able to see what the heck I'm doing. Okay, so stat, edit like usual. And now I have an old chapter 2 data set in here that I don't want. So I'm going to go up and press clear, enter. Remember, that's how we clear out old data. Clear, enter. Beautiful. All right, now I think my starter year is 2000. Yep, starter year is 2000. So I'm going to start my data table with 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now I'm lucky in this particular data set in that the 2 data sets both use the same years. So I actually can get away with just typing in 3 columns worth of data on this. If I had more years, then I would have to let's say if they had one set of years for one group and then another set of years for another group, then I would be stuck doing that. All right, I got those first 2 columns. Now let's go over here and type in this stuff. Let's see. I know watching me type is kind of boring. All right, so hopefully I got them all in. There's a delay there. So, okay, cool. We got them all. Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to do a couple things. I'm going to go to y equals, clear out that old equation. I don't need that. I'm going to turn on plot 1 and I'm going to turn on plot 2. Oh, I'm crafty, very crafty. We're going to do the scattergrams first. So let me go to StatPlot again. And I can see that plot number 1 is going to do L1 and L2, which is the year and Hispanic. Great. Right? But plot 2 isn't so good for me because it's L1 and L2 again, which is the same data set. So I'm going to go there and click on number 2. And I'm going to say, yep, I want it on. I want a scattergram. But instead of L1 and L2, I want L3 because my non-Hispanic white population was in L3. And then instead of doing boxes, because that'll get confusing because that's the same as the other one, I'm going to do little pluses. And then I'm going to do zoom 9. And there they are. Kind of crafty, huh? Now I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, well, that's a terrible window. Yeah, I don't disagree. But it gives me at least a starting point. So I can start with, like, how about we go 0 to 3. And let's see what it looks like then. See? And then you can see this one's kind of going downward. This one's sort of going upward a little bit, right? Cool. And if you want, you can go mess around. You can make it go 0 to 10 or something like that. Again, you can go to the window. Just because you do ZoomStat doesn't mean you have to live with the ZoomStat. Like, I often don't want to. So you saw what I did. Let me go back. I did ZoomStat like normal, and it's like, yeah, I can see the dots really pretty, but that's about it. So I went to the window, and I changed it. I rounded this. I said, okay, let's go 0, and that was 8.5, so let's go 10. And then 0.67 to 2.5. How useless is that? So how about 0, enter, to 3, enter? And did it that way. So I'm kind of modifying the ZoomStat so that I can see the axes. Cool. And you can see that this one's slowly going down, this one's slowly going up. Populations tend to go pretty slow like this, especially in a stable environment. All right, so I'm going to clear that history. You don't need to see all that. So that's how to do 2 scatter plots at the same time. You go to StatPlot. You leave plot 1 like it is, make sure it's on, and you go to number 2 and you got to modify it to L1 and L3, and I like to do the little pluses. And then make sure that they're both turned on. You can check that quickly by pressing y equals. They should both be dark. So plot 1 was L1 and L2, plot 2 was L1 and L3, which is the white population over here. Cool. All right, now that we know how to do that and make a scattergram for both of them, how about we learn how to make a linear regression for both of them and store it. So let me go to Stat, calculate number 4. This should look very familiar. L1, L2, that's great. And I'm going to store it in Y1. So I'm going to go variables, Y variables, function, number 1. And then I'm going to go down to calculate and press enter. Woot. There it is. All right, so if I go to y equals, I can see there's the equation. When I graph, I press graph, you can see it found that first one. That was the Hispanic population. It's on the rise. It's got a positive slope. But now I want to find the other one. So I'm going to go to stat, calculate number 4. Now you want to be careful. You don't want to do what you just did. So I want L3 this time because L3 is the column that had the white population. I can always leave frequency list blank. Now I'm going to go store it, but I want to store it in a different y than the one I already did. So variables, go to the right to y variables, pick number 1, but do not pick number 1 right now. Pick number 2, right? Because if you pick y2, then it'll store it in that second equation. Then go down to calculate and press enter. And it calculated it, and see it's going down. The white population is going down. So you can go to y equals, y1, that's that Hispanic growth population, and y2 is the white population growth. See? And then when I graph, there's y1 coming in, and there's y2 coming in. And you can see that this one's going down, this one's coming up. They're going to intersect at some point. We'll have to figure out that point in another video, though. Okay, so I think that's the end of this one. We've learned how to turn on 2 different scatter plots. We learned how to edit what that second scatter plot would be in L2 or in StatPlot, second y equals in the StatPlot menu. Made it L1 and L3, and it's got a little plus sign. We graphed with Zoom 9, and then we realized, oh, okay, I wanted to go adjust the window from there to something prettier. So I've got the window, and then I went to Stat, Calc, number 4. I ran it once with L1 and L2, storing in Y1, and then I ran it again with L1 and L3 and stored it in Y2. And everything's done. Beautiful. And by the way, the gorgeous thing about storing it is that you have all these values now sitting in your table, and you can see with the table when or what the later values are, when they might intersect, stuff like that. Cool. All right, we'll talk about intersection a little bit more in the next video. I'll see you then.